Welcome to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. And now your host, Tim Johnson.
Brown & Root, one of the most iconic names in the industrial services sector, is now headquartered in Louisiana. Chief Executive Officer Andy Dupuy and Chief Operating Officer Fred McManus join us when we return on this edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Consumers and property owners with construction projects can have a successful result or regretful experiences that could have been avoided. Before any construction project, verify licensure of the contractor and check references. Scammers will claim to be insured or bonded, so always check first. Download our app, LA Contractor, from the Android or Apple Store. Visit our website, lacontractor.org, or contact the Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors. We're here to help before things go wrong. Hire a licensed contractor. It's the law.
Spadel's Florist was founded over 30 years ago. From my mom's kitchen, we have grown into one of the largest florists in this area. There's a sense in our community that you stick together. Good times or bad. And oil and gas is part of that family. They're my neighbors. They're my customers. They're the person I'm sitting next to at church. If oil and gas is doing well, all of our businesses are doing well. We are Louisiana Oil and Gas.
The LCTCS Foundation advocates for every Louisiana community and technical college in the system to keep them on the cutting edge of training and technology. Aligned with businesses across the state, they ensure students develop the highest possible level of skills, keeping Louisiana business and industry ahead of the pack. Visit this website to support the LCTCS Foundation for a higher Louisiana for all.
Passion, experience, safety. These are what set Arkell Constructors apart as a premier general contractor. At Arkell Constructors, our goal is to exceed our clients' expectations, whether it's commercial, industrial, or facility maintenance. We have the team and processes in place to provide a solution for you. To us, every project is a resume for our future. Arkell Constructors, the solution for your next building project.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Very pleased to be joined by two good personal friends, longtime acquaintances. Andy Dupuy is the CEO of Brown & Root, and Fred McManus is the Chief Operating Officer. Gentlemen, welcome.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having us, Tim.
Said in the open, Andy, that Brown & Root is and has been for 100 years now one of the most iconic names in the industrial services sector, maintenance and construction and all of those things. Talk about the history of the organization. I know it means a lot to you. Lead us up to where we are today.
Well, the company was formed in 1919 by two brothers. Back then, they were actually building roads with mule teams. So they really started at the very beginning of building. And the company, of course, grew a long time, got in the industrial sector back in the 1950s and really became big in maintenance and really became popular when they built one of the first offshore oil rigs, the first offshore oil rig ever built in 1947 out of Morgan City. But we brought the company public, kind of get to today, we brought the company private in 2015, just recently. 4 years, it'll be 4 years now in June. And we basically took the company, built it to what we believe is the most complete industrial service platform in the business.
It really is an impressive organization and that iconic name that is so recognized out there, both by your competitors and by your clients overall. So Fred, let me turn to you. Let's talk about the current state of Brown & Root. One of the things that you guys pride yourselves on is that you are building and have built a complete company, sort of start to finish services. Tell us where we are.
Begins with engineering. Most things that you build begins with somebody designing a concept, going to a piece of paper or drawing that we build from. So we have an engineering group that we're very, very proud of. We'll talk a little bit about that a little bit later. A construction group that we want to build what we design. We have a turnaround group. So in every case you build something, you have to do work on it occasionally, and the better you build it, the less you have to do that. But we have a team that does that. We have ongoing nested maintenance. It's actually one of the biggest segment of our business. And then we have our specialty business, which is painting, insulation, and scaffolding. Some people refer to it as soft skills. And that business supports every one of our businesses, and they fit together well. And that's what we've built here. And so we really don't have to go outside to get many things done when a customer calls.
We're going to talk specifically about the growth of the organization a little bit later, but over 150 project sites now, maintenance and project sites around the United States. So you're supporting a big group of employees out there. And you're doing it all headquartered right here in Louisiana. As two Louisiana natives, Andy, I know that's very important to you.
It is. We brought the company to Louisiana because we knew this would be a great base to build it from. When we started, when we brought the company private, we were doing about $350 million in revenue, and today, only 4 years later, we've accomplished over $1 billion in revenue. So, and our budgets are really beyond that, with over 10,000 employees. So we've done pretty well.
Well, one of the things, and I said this as I was doing some research and preparing for today, is that you've grown from $300 million a few years ago up to $1 billion today, a little over $1 billion. But it's almost kind of happened under the radar. I mean, if you think about what's going on out there in the industry and you think about all of this growth, this group of Louisiana guys brought this company to Baton Rouge and sort of reconstituted it here. And the growth has been, while maybe a little bit quiet, really meteoric. I mean, it's been a significant amount of growth in a short period of time. But it's been built on a real solid pipeline of work, Fred. Talk about some of the things you guys are engaged in.
When you
out
think
there.
about what Andy said, we're started with $350 million less than 4 years ago, and we're at $1 billion, and that that doesn't happen by accident. That was with a lot of good people doing a lot of good things, but it always begins with safety in our business. And zero harm is our flag for safety, and that just means three basic things. One is we believe anything and everything that we do can be done without anybody getting hurt or incident or damaging anything. And the second part of that is it involves everybody engaging in a personal level, committing to it, not just at work, but at home too, because we need our employees coming back every day. And the third is courage to care, being able to say to your friend who you're working with, and in a lot of cases we work more, and we spend more time with the people we work with than the people at home. Being able to having the courage to tell that individual, you need your gloves on. You need to watch what you're doing. We've not been authorized to do that yet. We build it on that premise from a safety standpoint. Then excellence in execution. We will always say we will be an operationally led safety business, and everything we do has to be done safely and led by operations. But from an operational standpoint, you have to do good work. Good work gets more work, especially with the customers we have. A lot of our business is repeat business, and they only call you back if you do a good job for them.
Well, and listen, any of us who have owned or managed businesses, led organizations, understand that the culture of your company is critically important. And culture starts with leadership, and leadership from the top. I know when we talk about a safety culture and a customer service culture, Andy, those are two things that are high on your list and that you drive in this organization every day. Talk about those cultures.
Yeah, I'd like to comment about that. Fred made good comments about our safety program, which is, I think, one of the best I've seen in my 45 years in the business, but I know I don't look that old, but one key component of it is that we actually report everything on every job site. Mm-hmm. So you don't gain knowledge unless you know what's exactly going on. So we don't hide anything. Anything, even the most simple incident, is reported immediately to Fred and my level. Mm-hmm. And we actually look at it, and we actually have meetings weekly to discuss serious incidents or things that could happen, near misses, I think a lot of people call them. We see it as near opportunities. So.
Well, and the courage to care is the courage to report and act upon, right? And I want to talk a little bit more about the customer service culture when we return. We're visiting with Fred McManus and Andy Dupuy of Brown & Root, and you're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
Since 1919, we've designed and constructed hundreds of industrial plants, roads, ships, dams, and executed some of the most complex jobs in the world. In fact, our quality and dependability are legendary. Today, the legend continues as Brown & Root delivers engineering, construction, maintenance, and industrial specialty services throughout the U.S. and the world from our headquarters here in Louisiana. We are Brown & Root.
ExxonMobil Baton Rouge keeps the local economy rolling. Our new aviation project created hundreds of jobs, drove millions of dollars to local businesses, and poured thousands more into our community to improve schools. 1 in 8 jobs in our parish can be traced back to ExxonMobil. Tomorrow's Baton Rouge is built by what we do today. A little energy goes a long way. ExxonMobil Baton Rouge. Energy lives here.
The 1012 Industry Report is excited to announce the 1012 Industry Weekly. This e-newsletter is free and comes to your inbox every Tuesday. All you have to do is sign up at 1012industryreport.com. 1012 Industry Report is an award-winning magazine serving South Louisiana's petrochemical and oil and gas industries. From Lake Charles to Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we cover the news, people, projects, and issues that matter to industry. The 1012 Industry Report magazine and weekly email. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. Pleased to be joined by Andy Dupuy, the CEO of Brown & Root, and Fred McManus, the Chief Operating Officer. Guys, we left off the last segment talking about your company's culture and how critically important culture is, and we talked specifically about the safety culture. But you mentioned it, Fred. You guys have really developed a culture of exceeding your clients' expectations, and that's important to both of you, I know. But Fred, touch on that a little bit.
Well, first of all, we're setting expectations for ourselves first, and that has to match or exceed even our customers' expectations. So it begins with that. And when you work for customers like ExxonMobil and P66 and Westlake and folks who continue to allow us to do work for them, that's a testament to the fact that we're focused on good execution and excellence in the work that we do. And there's a lot of pride in that with our folks.
And it shows up, and you mentioned it in the first segment, that the best way to get more business is to do more work for the people you're already under contract with, and certainly good customer service is the key to that. One of the things that's interesting, and Andy, you talked a little bit in the first segment about the exponential growth that the company has seen since you guys brought it back to Louisiana and took it private in 2015, a little over 4 years ago. But there is momentum in every aspect of your business. And if you think about the way you've built it in terms of turnkey services for the industry, and then you look at those individual services, while you guys have done a great job sort of intertwining them as you go forward, there is great momentum in each of those areas. So let's start with engineering and construction, and maybe Fred, you want to lead off there, but talk about some of the things that are taking place in that part of your business.
Well, all of our businesses are actually growing. When you think about that growth that we've talked about right here, it wasn't isolated. We started with a very good base of maintenance, and we've had good growth there, but our real growth has come in the engineering, construction, turnaround, and especially side of our business, where, again, we're constructing more that we design now, which was part of the goal that we had. We bought an engineering company that did a lot of its own design, but very little construction. But now we do a lot of the construction of the things that we design. That segment is growing, especially in the oil and gas market, with the niche that we have in terminals that our construction and engineering group really specialize in, and of course in our turnaround business, a lot of our customers have not done the frequency and turnarounds they've done in the past. And so we see that frequency increasing. It's increased in the last couple of years, and the next couple of years we see that frequency continuing. As I mentioned earlier, in every one of these businesses, specialty services are required. So as those businesses grow, so does a need for scaffolding, so does a need for painting and insulation also.
And those customers enjoy, in some sense, being able to hire one provider to provide all of those services. Now, other customers may want individuals. Andy, I want to turn to you on this. I've had the great pleasure of knowing both of you guys for more than 25 years now. That's hard to believe, but it's true. One of the things I think that makes this combination so successful at the top of this company is that your background really has been in construction, building things, right? And that's what you cut your teeth on. Fred, yours was in maintenance and turnarounds, and that's sort of where you cut your teeth. And so while both of you had experience in the other areas of the business as well, you bring a specialty and an experience level that's really important. And Andy, it must be rewarding to you as CEO to be able to watch all of these service lines do really well based on the quality of the people that you've brought to those leadership positions.
Well, you just hit the nail on the head. It's all about the quality of the people and putting them in the right place. And, you know, Fred talked a little bit about, performance and how we get a lot of repeat business. We're doing that because we brought the best people we could get to the business. We put them in the right place so that they could perform as well as they could perform. So yes, and I think if you look back at it, Fred and I sort of designed this business as to what it is today. We knew exactly what services we needed, what the clients wanted, what the clients needed, and we put that program together and we're out selling it, and it's really selling. I mean,
well, and you guys mentioned that you were able to bring a pretty good base of maintenance services. And you think about these industrial plants all along the Gulf Coast and the fact that they, just like an automobile or a home or anything else, they have to be maintained on a daily basis. And in fact, at a pretty high level, quite frankly. And you guys brought in one of the leading maintenance guys in the country, quite frankly, that you had both worked with for years and years and years, and Marcus Deal. And Marcus has taken that book of business and exceeded expectations of your clients with it, and because of that you are growing. Talk specifically about the maintenance side of what you do, Fred.
Well, again, Marcus cut his teeth at places like Exxon, where he spent a lot of his career. And in those days, we did most of the turnarounds also. And so, maintenance on an ongoing basis is a critical component, because typically the better you maintain a facility, the less you have to do in the outage time frame, keeping it up along the way. And so that's where we began. When you have customers like that have high expectations, then again, our expectations have to be even greater. But the relationship that we've had with people like Marcus and Guy and
Guy Scheck-Snyder, right,
Mike Shipp and the team there, they've all come together to work as a team. And then we mentioned Andy Ferris, engineering group, and now Kevin Steed runs that organization. They work together as a team. And so even though a lot of our business is maintenance, every one of our services support our ongoing maintenance. That's been a critical component that Andy came up with early on, that where we do maintenance, we need to do all these other services that we provide.
Well, and it really, you think about that turnkey aspect of it, and you think about, bringing in a turnaround group like the Campeses. You think about Mike and Ross and those guys that run that part of the organization. And if you're in there doing maintenance, all of a sudden the customer says, can you do this turnaround? If you're in there doing a turnaround, all of a sudden the customer might say, hey, we got this little construction or an engineering project for you. And oh, by the way, we need some scaffolding, insulation, and painting as well. And so you're able to do that. I want to take another break. When we come back, I want to talk about the strategic plan for the future of Brown & Root. We're visiting with CEO Andy Dupuy and COO Fred McManus of Brown & Root. You're watching the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.
I just see the positive things on the horizon, and BRAC is a real integral part of that.
BRAC's taken a very forward role in trying to help align people and align strategies and align solutions.
You'll find that you'll have an opportunity at BRAC to make a difference.
It's about being a part of conversations and really having a voice in terms of how we move the city forward.
A lot of my friends were in college and stuff, which is great. It wasn't the route for me, and financially, I know it's tough on a lot of people, so I saw welding. At first, my instinct was like, what pays the most money? So I was like, welding, that's the way to go. It made a great living for me and my family. You can always work your way up. There's multiple ladders, and really the sky's the limit. I thought I got to the max with as high as I can go with welding. As high as you want to grow, you can absolutely achieve it.
Promoting workplace safety and family wellness. That's our motto at Gulf Coast Occupational Medicine. The Gulf Coast staff is made up of some of the most knowledgeable and hardest working medical professionals in Louisiana. We care about your safety and your bottom line. With 8 convenient locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, our services include injury management, physical exams, medical surveillance, and substance abuse testing. For more information, visit us on the web at gcombr.info and ride the wave to safety.
Welcome back to the Louisiana Business and Industry Show. We're talking all things Brown & Root, an iconic industrial services provider headquartered here in Louisiana. We think about the future and strategic plans and areas of focus as you go forward. I know you guys are announcing some exciting stuff that you're doing in the Permian Basin. Talk about that, Fred.
Well, if you kept up with the oil and gas industry, you realize, what an impact places like the Permian Basin and the Delaware and even Marcellus up further north are having on our country. We are an oil-independent nation.
Right. Actually exporting oil for the first time
now,
ever. Right?
which is another key strategy for us. And so because we have a strong presence in Houston, matter of fact, that presence is actually growing. We're adding some office space because we're growing with our engineering group in Houston. And we also are adding some extra space for our construction support services, all built to, again, support the ship channel work, but more importantly in the Permian, that's easier to get to than Louisiana being staged there. So, but for the Permian, again, all of our key customers are there. We have some long-term relationships and a lot of the folks that even some legacy Brown & Root folks that we've discovered in the Permian. But because of the investments that are planned right there, we're perfectly situated to expand our business with engineering, with construction, with all the specialty services that we'll need to do that work also. And again, a lot of that can be launched from the facilities that we have right there in Houston.
I want to talk more about those specifically in Houston, but if you think about the Louisiana market, Andy, it's been really, really hot. And there are great things going on in that Houston Ship Channel area, and you guys are strategically positioning yourself to take advantage of it.
We are. To be a major industrial player, you really have to be. And that's a huge market, much bigger really than the Louisiana market today. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll tell you, we're looking at some oil export. We're actually working on a huge oil export facility down in Plaquemines Parish right now. And we also just recently picked up a really nice infrastructure job as a JV partner for the Mid-Britain CPRA.
Coastal restoration, right?
Yeah, it's going to build new coastlines. So not only playing in the industrial business, but we're also building infrastructure.
Man, it's exciting to think about all of the avenues that you will take advantage of. Fred, you mentioned some expansion, some strategic expansion in the Houston market. You guys are building an engineering center of excellence, right, in Deer Park? Talk
Absolutely
a little bit about that.
We have the Deer Park location, but we've outgrown that facility, so we actually moved over to Duluth Central, which is a little further south of Houston right there, where there's a wealth of engineering expertise that we're growing in, and a little further south there is where we've built our construction support services facility there. It's a shop that we can do a lot of things in, but it's always a location where we keep a lot of people, a lot of services, and a lot of support there.
The general public doesn't always think of industrial services like construction and maintenance as places where a lot of innovation takes place, R&D and technology. I know, you guys know, nothing could be further from the truth. Andy, you guys are investing in technology. You are pursuing innovation in a lot of different ways. Can you guys address that?
Yeah, we're doing RFID identification work. We're looking at VR work, virtual reality work, where actually projects can be accomplished before they are physically done through virtual reality. I mean, the technology's crazy in the construction industry, how well it's getting. And we have a group that is specifically dedicated to bringing this technology to our maintenance customers and to our construction customers.
Pretty exciting, isn't it?
It is. And think about the millennials. They're way ahead of us. Our children grew up dealing with these things, and we thinking them as new technology, and they are new for us. But the millennials that we're bringing into the organization, very talented young folks, they're picking this up and going with it, and they're showing us. We're guiding, giving the vision, and they're taking it and going with it.
Quite frankly, it is their expectation when they come into a company that these kind of things exist. But when you talk about young people, or you talk about people in general, and Andy, you did a nice job in the last segment highlighting the quality of the individuals that are part of the team at Brown & Root. But let's talk about some of the other things you guys are doing, because I know that training, mentoring, leadership, all critical elements of moving a company forward. You guys are investing in that.
Yeah, we've put together what we think is a really nice leadership program for the young leaders. We have guys like R3, a third generation of Campisi.
Ross Campisi, right?
Yeah, I mean, that family's an icon in the turnaround business. Most of the turnaround businesses that you see today were made up over the last 5 or 10 years. The one that we have has been around for 40 years.
That's right.
So, and you get that legacy and you get this young talent under it. We put together what we call our NGL program. It's the next generation of leadership. Yeah. So we're really investing in training the future leadership. I wonder what the generation after the millennials are going to look like, the ones who grew up on a cell phone.
Right.
And, those will be hitting the workforce in the next 8 or 10 years, or 6 years probably. But we'll be ready for them when they get
Well, there's no question that work will look much different as we go forward, but training for whatever that work looks like, mentoring for whatever that work looks like is critically important, and you guys are doing it. We joke in the workforce development businesses, what if we spend all this money training people and they leave us? What if we don't spend all that money and they stay, right? So that's a critically important thing to do. Fred, we got about a minute left here. I want to talk a little bit about maintaining the momentum. You guys have built a significant company here. How do you keep it going?
Well, hiring the right people, the best in the business. We started out with a great team of people when we started this venture just less than 4 years ago. But every individual that we bring into it, we have the team thoroughly vet and get to know and make sure that we have the right mix of people. We've created a great culture, and the way to keep that culture going is to bring in people who match that culture. And so that's how we keep that momentum going. The market's in good shape right now. We realize where the market is growing, such as places like the Permian, and we're investing in the future, by this next generation leadership. Andy's investment as chairman of the board of NCCCR is perfect for us because craft professionals are key to us, and that program develops craft professionals in a way that no other program does.
Well, it has been my great pleasure to know both of you, to consider both of you friends, and to work alongside with you in various capacities over the years. Andy Dupuy, Fred McManus, Brown & Root. Thanks for the work you do for our state, for the people who you employ, and we'll keep an eye on what's going on with a great company, Brown & Root. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for joining us. Join us again next week at this very same time for another edition of the Louisiana Business and Industry Show.